This is Rao Talk. In this episode, I talked to Amir Behnam. He is the CTO at Crave Retail. He tells me about his experience as a back-end software developer and suggests ways to get comfortable with programming. We talk about coding interviews and what he looks for when hiring developers. From there, we get into masala chai recipes and COVID-19 restrictions in Ontario. To end the conversation, we talk about vaccines and herd immunity. Yeah, it has been years, probably 5 years since we last met when we went to Halifax, and then I passed out after getting up from that hot tub.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I remember I got up, then I got up out of the tub because it was feeling hot. I walked inside. We were at an Airbnb there,
Yeah.
and the hot tub was outside. So I walked in to sit down, and then I woke up on the floor. So I came back out and I asked you guys. So it was you and a couple other people, and I asked how long I was gone, and you said, "Guy, you just went inside." So that's what I knew, that it was probably a good thing that I wasn't out for like minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, every now and then I'll like think back about that trip. I'm like, yo, that was weird. That was freaky.
Yeah. Oh man. But your whole look has changed. You wear glasses now.
Yeah. Turns out my eyes are pretty bad.
Oh man. How bad are they?
Like I can do without it, to be honest. It's just like driving at night without it, like things get like blurry, and like I see the line, like I don't know how to describe, but like the lights like phase out or whatever.
Right.
And like reading like text, it becomes like difficult. So it's just like
reading text while you're driving?
Well, like street signs can be like I won't be able to read them until I get like pretty close. I'm like, yo, this is pretty shady. I need glasses.
Oh, okay. You're talking about street signs. I was thinking, he's reading texts while driving.
No. Street signs. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I can go for a walk without glasses. So if something's running at me or a car's rushing toward me, I can see it.
Yeah.
But if I'm on the road, I'm not confident that I'll be safe if I don't wear my glasses.
Yeah, like for me, I just keep them on 24/7 at this point, because like if I put them on in the morning, then my eyes get used to it.
Yeah.
And then like taking it off is just like so disorienting. So I'm just gonna keep them on like nonstop. But like I don't know, it's pretty. I kind of don't like glasses. Like I'm so not aware of them, so every now and then like I'll come to push it and just like touch right on the lens. I'm like, shit, now I gotta go clean it. Like it's just such a nuisance.
Yeah. Do you carry a cloth with you?
No, but I have one like everywhere that's important. So like I'll have one on my computer desk and one in my car.
Okay.
But I rarely actually like keep it on me.
Man,
I'll just lose it.
You're describing everything that I went through in my first couple of years of wearing glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So
how do you deal with it now?
Now?
Or the pro strats?
Okay. Well, you mentioned, when you try to pull it up, then, you end up touching the glasses.
Yeah.
So I get a new pair of glasses every 2 years because it's covered under insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned that, the plastic frame glasses, like the ones that looks like you're wearing, they don't have the, the nose things that, those things. So these ones don't tend to slide that much. So my last pair were like yours. They were black frames, and I would have to constantly adjust it.
Okay. I have one of those pairs. I just don't know where I put it. Like
Okay.
I just don't wear it often, just because like they're a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, okay. I just want like I don't like a, a better like glass surface where like it doesn't leave fingerprints.
I haven't come across that.
Yeah, I just need that in my life, and like I can't do contacts either, just because like putting my finger in my eye like freaks me out. Like I can't put eye drops in. Like
Okay.
I have to like put the eye drop on the side of my nose and let it like splash in because like I cannot for the life of me keep my eye open as I'm trying to put something in.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Another thing you can try is instead of reaching at the nose, just
Mhm.
pick a side and just hold the whole thing.
Mm.
That might work too.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's just like the classic anime move. She's like, mm.
Mm. No, but this is also the classic anime move of
Oh,
like the nerd.
that's fair.
This is hold on, let me demonstrate. This is nerd. This is cool guy.
Okay, so I gotta do it like this.
Yeah. Plus, if you time it right, when you're in a meeting and somebody asks you what you think, then they'll be more likely to pay attention to what you're saying.
Just
Well,
like fiddle with his like I'm about to ruin this guy's whole career. Well, actually, that's a fucking stupid question. Let me tell you why.
bro, you just asked a Python question. You've been at this job for 2 years. You know we're doing Java, right?
uh,
Oh man. Oh.
how's your like coding projects going?
It's on pause right now.
How
So
come?
let's see. What did I do? I think in July I did a Python. I finished a Python course online for 7 weeks. It was just a basic intro course.
Okay, so like it wasn't geared to anything specific.
No, no, it was teaching you how to learn Python as if
I see.
you barely have any experience.
Okay.
Uh, so I did it on Coursera,
Hmm.
but they have a 5 module program which you can do online as well. But I don't want to start it unless I know I'm going to be using Python.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, after studying so much, I remember I used to tell you I love learning, but
Hmm.
now I have reached that point where you were at Waterloo, where
Hmm.
it's like I only want to learn what I need to know now.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the coding projects are on pause, but I'm thinking of what to do for the month of October. So I try to have a monthly challenge.
Mm.
September I took it off. So what do you suggest
What kind of stuff do you try to do?
for the challenges?
Yeah, like give me an example of one that you've done.
Well, these challenges are not coding specific.
Hmm.
So I think July was just finish the course.
Hmm.
August was what was it? I think it was to run a total distance of a marathon, which is 42 kilometers
Okay.
over the whole month.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I got to around 50.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was good. And then September I didn't have one, so it's kind of a break. And then October I want to pick one soon.
Okay. Um, what about like a cooking based one?
Okay, I do have a cooking channel with like 5 episodes on YouTube,
Hmm.
and actually my mom and I are gonna uh, like do it together because she wants to do cooking videos.
Okay.
So it's not really a challenge, but we're gonna film at least one recipe this month.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you already have that under cover then.
Yeah. So yeah, the challenges are things that either it's physical, which
Hmm.
is like pushing myself to do something I don't do, like running 42 kilometers in total, or it's something specific for use in jobs like coding or electronics. But
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't have that motivation because I need that job.
Like what's your I guess what's your preference? Like coding or electronics? Or do you want like I feel like you could try to go towards coding for electronics,
Mm,
but I feel like that one's much harder. Like that's the kind of stuff I was trying to do when I was in like 1A, 1B.
mm.
Like I don't know, it's like it's just one of those jobs that nobody wants to hire junior people for.
I've noticed that.
And like I also just found that like in hardware a lot too. Like
Yeah,
it's just hard getting junior jobs because like the like I understand it from the employee side,
yeah.
right? Like there's more cost involved in that, right?
Hmm.
Like a fuck up in hardware is more expensive than a fuck up in software.
True.
And like you could that's the same applies to like software for hardware. So like firmware, if there's a bug in it, like it's not the same as like just okay, there's a bug on my server, let me just deploy it and everyone automatically gets the newest version.
Yeah.
With firmware, it's like sometimes people will just have to go manually download it or just have that
Oh, yeah.
bug,
Yeah.
right? So it can be like a lot more difficult. So like I could see why employees are like disincentivized from hiring junior people. So
Mm.
like how does anyone get started? I have no idea. But, like that's just the that's the reality of it. Uh,
So, so I was thinking of focusing on specifically scripting uses, like because, like for example, I hope to get into electronics, uh, so there's probably going to be some kind of automation. So learning scripting tools and how to do that would be useful.
so that's another hard one
Okay.
because with scripting, what you're in my mind, what that at least in the world that I've worked with, where scripting would come more into play would be like operations or DevOps. So like
Okay.
you're helping, for example, you're helping people with their deployment. So you're helping them build scripts for their deployments, or
Okay.
you're things along that path. But that that struggles from a bit of the same problem because it's a little bit harder to get junior jobs in ops and DevOps world
Okay.
because it's the same thing where a mess up in that world has a higher blast radius.
Oh, I
So
see.
like if I mess up a deploy script, I potentially took down everyone's servers
Mm.
versus messing up my code is I either just took down my server or just broke one specific feature in my service. So
Mm.
like, that blast radius thing tends to make it difficult to find junior positions in that thing just because of how people like the type of people want in those roles.
Right.
So yeah, I know it's quite a struggle with that. But like, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Of
Hmm.
course, it exists, but it's harder to find.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I'm also very biased and like the experiences that I've had. Like it's just in those roles I've worked with, I've never like really worked with junior ops or DevOps people. Like they've
Hmm.
all been like intermediate at the very least. So like, it's a little bit harder there.
Yeah, it's like that time in your first co-op, you told me a story where you forgot a semicolon and you crashed the whole company's server.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
must have sucked.
That was one see, but even that, it wasn't a big deal.
Really?
Because like it was just that server was only for internal use. Sure, a lot of people
Oh,
internally used it,
yeah.
but like someone was like, "Yo, why is this thing down?" And then I'm like, "I don't know," and then they just can't and reverted it because they were smarter than me. I had no idea what to do. Just like pushing code live to a production server because I didn't know any better.
Right, right, right.
Which is why, like, I would say, like, finding people like thinking back on it, that co-op was great, but like at the same time was probably like that they probably shouldn't have put a junior person in that role,
Okay.
because like I didn't really have much mentorship there, to
Mm.
be honest. So it's just like I'm just like googling shit and not like I'm learning obviously, but not it's not as fast as it could be, or like I'm not learning the right things all the time because of like I Google it, it works. Now I assume this is right. What I'm
Mm.
doing might be terrible practice, but I don't know any better, right?
Mhm.
So that's where like working a job that allows for mentorship becomes so important.
Yeah, that's the kind of job that I'm looking for. And lately, I've been, um, you know, like you said, it's hard to get a job in the embedded field or
Mhm.
electronics because the knowledge base you need is so high that as a junior person, it's hard to get in. So I've been looking at jobs where there's some travel involved. Like for example, I'm really good at troubleshooting things. If
Mhm.
if it's a system, I like using things. Um, you know, like I've done remote logins for co-ops where I'm using the customer's computer to figure out a problem, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So things where you have to either do stuff in the field or solve the system that's not working for
I see. See.
your client. But the problem is that I don't know how to practice that outside of doing the job.
Right.
So the reason I just defaulted to coding was, I mean, first of all, I want to keep in touch because I've already spent a lot of time on it, and it's cool. And if you're in any kind of electronics job, it'll probably come in handy at some point.
Yeah. Like I think anywhere you are in that field, you're gonna end up doing some kind of coding.
Yeah.
The language might be different, but you're gonna be doing coding no matter what.
So, so in your opinion, then, what kind of jobs are juniors being hired for?
Yeah, more junior friendly.
Yeah.
So I'll give you two separate answers. So like general programming jobs, I would say are pretty junior friendly.
Mhm.
And like things, what would be best to like help you learn
Okay.
um, would be like a company that practices pair programming.
Practices what?
Pair programming,
Pair programming?
yeah. So this is something I'm super fond of because like the job that I learned the most at did this. So
Okay.
like I'm very biased towards it, and I felt like it worked very well.
Mhm.
But essentially, but like it's very hard to convince a company to do this, and you'll understand why after I explain. But it's essentially where when you bring on a junior person for a pretty much almost forever until you become a senior person, you'll just be joined the other side of the role is every task you take, two people work on it at the same time.
Okay.
So like I go grab a task. Let's pretend I'm the junior person, you're the senior person.
Mhm.
We'll go work on it together. So you can do this in many different ways. The way that we did it is like you just take 15-minute increments. You both code on the same computer, working on the same problem. I'll work on it for 15 minutes, pass the keyboard and mouse back to you. You work on it for 15 minutes. Um, so the reason why I felt like that was amazing is like these senior people like have a lot of understanding of best practices, and like this is the best way to learn a lot of that stuff. So like you can go Google stuff on like Stack Overflow, get something that works,
Yeah.
and like get a bunch of answers, but it's not necessarily the right way to do those things.
Mhm.
But if someone doesn't tell you that you're doing that thing wrong, or like maybe you see a comment that's like, oh, don't do this, but there's no explanation,
Mm.
right? Like, are you like truly learning anything in that situation?
Right.
Um, or like if you are learning, are you learning the right thing?
Right.
um, and like it'll be like maybe you learn the right thing a couple of years down, but it becomes harder to unlearn it. But like right there in real time, you're like, oh, they're like, okay, so some basic task, like let's say we want to create a new endpoint that lets a user log in. I'm like, okay, I would go, store the person's password in plain text. They'd be like, no, you don't want to do that. That's not a secure way. Like, all right, that's great. I just learned that. Like, sure, I could have implemented it, just storing passwords, but if it works fine, I wouldn't have known I did something like idiotic there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like right there in that moment, it's like, okay, I understand. I can ask questions right there. It's like, oh, what? Why not? What's the problem? It's like, oh, if there's some sort of like data leak, not everyone knows these passwords. Or if
Mm-hmm.
it's like hashed, they don't really gain as much information, or it's harder to get the actual password out of it. So I was like, all right, that's great information to have that I wouldn't have immediately known if I was just going about it.
Okay.
So stuff like that, and then like learning just like pretty much everything it through that path just becomes so much faster.
Yeah. So I've noticed that I don't know if this is true, but the idea I have about programmers is that they know a lot of stuff, but it's hard to get someone to like teach you if you don't know anything. Cause I don't know if that's just because of like programmers in movies and stuff, or some professors where like
Yeah, like it's also that there's a bit of there'll always be a bit of a disconnect, right? Because they don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions to ask them,
yeah,
right? So
that's yeah.
that what this fixes is like you just both go do it and you'll learn as you're doing, right?
No,
It's
no,
like,
I agree with you. I like this um, what you call pair programming.
yeah.
Um, until now, I haven't heard that term before. At jobs where I have had to do some programming, that's
Mhm.
how it ended up for me as a co-op student. I would just find somebody and then ask them like, "What does this mean? Should I do this?" Things
Yeah,
like that. But it's not being encouraged in any place that I've worked that
yeah,
I can remember. I might be wrong. I haven't really thought deeply about it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so the problem is obviously like, you need to convince someone higher up to start, like, let the programmers run the company like this, right?
Right.
And that's a hard sell to give to a business person. Like, yeah, we're gonna have two people work on the same task all the time.
Mm,
Like, that's a hard sell because they're like, all right, now I'm just paying twice the money for half, like, for the same amount of work. But that's not really true,
okay.
right? Because now you're, instead of sitting there getting stuck, messaging the guys like, hey, I have a question. Uh,
Yeah.
Waiting like an hour for this guy to read your message and be like, all right, what's up? And then now you spend the next 30 minutes explaining the problem for him to be like, all right, fuck it, just come here. Let me see what's up.
Yeah.
Right? Like how much time's actually wasted there where, you know, you're like you're doing what's best for your employees and you're actually getting stuff done faster.
Mm,
Uh, and like I would argue most likely at a higher quality. So like it in theory is most likely one-sided, but like having someone there constantly critiquing you,
mm,
even if it's like a junior asking be like, hey, why are we doing it like this, like out of, they're not saying like, hey, this is stupid, it's like, I just don't understand. You might be like, yeah, that's a good question, why are we doing it like this?
mm.
So like the result on both sides is, I find like much higher quality code. And
Yeah.
like, as a developer, like a lot of times I'll want to go take shortcuts and I'll be like, this guy's gonna shame me. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it right. And realistically, like these shortcuts that I take are often like saving me 1 second of work. So it's just like it's the dumbest thing. So it's like you avoid those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good system.
So
If you can find the right place that like practice it, it'll be like a good learning opportunity.
yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing programming. It's just um like I don't in interviews, I don't know like I don't want to oversell myself because I don't know what I know and I don't know what I don't know. But all I could say is, this. I mean, I know what I know, so I say this is what I've done, this is what I've learned.
Yeah.
Most of my experience is in classes and co-op jobs. This is what I'm confident I can do.
Yeah.
But what I'm confident about and what they're expecting, there's always a huge gap. So
Well,
yeah, I
like
don't know.
I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of a weird thing. Like anytime I'm hiring in like junior positions,
Hmm.
for me, it's like, does this person vaguely understand what programming is, and do they have an interest in learning?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know why anyone like I understand it, but like it's weird to have anything more than expect anything more than that out of a junior developer.
Hmm.
Like they're here to learn and like add value to your company maybe in a couple months. Like, you know, regardless of the position, like they're going to be spending a couple months learning the system anyways.
Right.
Let's like just take some time, train them, and then like they'll be more productive. Like,
Yeah, that's what I expect. Anyway, so that was the first thing was pair programming. What's the second thing you would suggest?
so yeah, like in terms of doing stuff on your own for now, that the next closest thing would be to work on something yourself and then have someone review it and critique it for you. Right. So
Oh,
you're not going to get that real time feedback,
okay,
but now this is the step, like one step below that, but
okay,
it's much more accessible.
okay. That makes sense. Um, so, what would you recommend? Like, if I want to work on something?
Um, that kind of depends on what you want to do. So first thing I would recommend is make sure you have a GitHub profile,
Okay.
right? Because anytime I'm I'm interviewing someone, is the first thing I look at is their GitHub profile. So one, make sure everything is public,
Okay.
because what that tells me is that this person is actively working on it, because GitHub just tracks like the whole history of everything they've worked on. So it's like I can see what frequency they're committing, and then I can go see what the projects they're working on actively.
Oh, okay.
So if I see someone's profile and that it's completely empty, it's either all private and then like I can ask them. So that's a slight annoyance.
Mm.
But if it's completely empty, I'm like, all right, obviously this guy's not coding.
Right, right. Okay.
Right. So it's like, all right, that's a like if the interview doesn't go well, that's an easy no.
Okay.
Um, but like, yeah, if I see someone's profile is like active, whether or not the interview goes well or not, I'm still considering that person, because I
Mm.
know at the very least they have interest in like doing stuff.
Okay. Interesting. That makes sense because you want to you can learn a lot about your candidate even before you have the interview or select them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like from there, I can go look at their code and be like, are they doing like the basic stuff? So like,
Mhm.
are they using like the tools that are available to them? So like for me, it's like, is the code properly formatted?
Okay.
And like the expectation for me is not that you're manually formatting it, it's that you know how to use your tools to automatically format your code for you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's like, is it consistent? Does it look like it's been automatically formatted? Like, I don't want someone sitting there wasting their time formatting code by hand, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so yeah.
Um, okay. So GitHub profile, and then as far as like what to develop, I don't have anything specific in mind. And like I said, um, I'm not specifically, well, okay, how do I put this? I don't have a lot of development experience, so it's, you know, a lot of times I'm conflicted whether to apply for software jobs anyway. But I guess I will. I mean, I have applied for junior jobs, and I think it's a good idea to continue that.
Yeah.
So, as far as choosing what to develop and considering what kind of jobs are out there, what's better to work on, like Android, iOS, computer apps, Windows, Mac OS,
Um,
Linux, whatever.
kind of depends on what you think you'll enjoy more. Like for me, like the past, I don't even know how long it's been. I just work on backend.
Backend, okay.
Yeah, so like I guess ever since we were in probably like 2A, I've been doing just nothing but backend. So like I'm not familiar with like anything front end anywhere. So whether it's Android, iOS, or web,
Oh,
like
right.
I'm like I like I can look at the code and poorly understand what's happening, but I will like avoid doing it myself like the plague.
Mm,
So like I'll still have to do it every now and then, but it'll just be terrible and I don't understand what I'm doing.
okay. Yeah, um I don't know. I don't know what I want. That's why I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
If I had to choose now, I would say I'm biased toward front end stuff because I have played around with Android and iOS on using Xcode.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's fun, but it's it's kind of annoying because you have to work with a GUI a lot, and I just like typing stuff. But you got to do what you got to do. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, I don't want to I don't want to really be involved with like the user interface, but still be involved in the front end somehow.
Mhm.
Is that possible, or are those just things that work together all the time?
Um, you could, but I feel like if you decide to do that, maybe you're like prematurely optimizing a path.
What do you
Uh,
mean?
in the sense that like the only thing I can think of there would be like you're building libraries for front end.
Oh,
So it's like
no.
that seems pretty specialized.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just kind of figuring stuff out. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter if I'm working with the user interface. I just mean I don't want to design interfaces. Like I don't mind
Oh,
working with them,
yeah, yeah.
but like as far as aesthetics go, I'm guessing there's like a whole different job for that.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I understand what you mean now.
Okay.
So in terms of like things to build, I like the classic is just like build random games.
Okay.
Uh, so like for me, I built a couple games here and there, but like I would usually do it without a UI. So like I would just have a print to the console and I would
Uh,
interact with it like that.
okay.
Because like that. It, I would even be tempted to encourage you to initially do that and then put a UI on top of it,
Mm,
just because like that'll simplify your life a lot. So like for example, like making Minesweeper or like X and O's, just like print that to the console, get your logic set up,
okay.
like understand that piece of it. So now at least you know, because like the most important thing is like actually completing it, right? And
Yes.
like that's the like getting to there is difficult, right? No matter what you do, and like you'll always be tempted to like, close enough, fuck it. So like at least set a very easy, achievable thing, get
Yeah.
there, and then you can add on to it if you're like, all right, cool, that was good. Let me make this look good. So like X's and O's, pretty basic.
Okay.
Um, like the logic on it, like also pretty basic. So
Mm.
should like is something that should be achievable within like a week, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna say a month, and it's gonna be my October challenge.
All right.
I think yeah, making a Minesweeper game on for iOS. You think you could do that in a month? I could do that in a month.
Yeah, like well, I don't know about the UI part, but like the building out the logic of like because the key things you want to check for is like, okay, did this person win? Is this a
Oh, okay.
valid move? Can you do
Oh, I see what you're
right?
saying.
So like all those like it's pretty finite, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it in a very manual way, you're still only checking 9 things,
Okay.
right? Like you have a grid of 3 by 3, so you're like, okay, no, you can't go here. There's already someone here, and then you like check your lines. So there's like it's a very finite space of things to check. So
Right.
that's what that part of it is. What I mean is like is basic.
Yeah, the constraints are fixed. You choose your grid ahead of time,
Yeah,
and start with one grid size, like I don't know, whatever the basic one is, and then figure out the rules and print to the screen, two or three different indicators,
yeah,
and just like loop that through until you win or lose,
yeah,
and just print to the console, just the characters in a grid format without worrying about making
yeah,
it look nice on the UI.
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah. So that part of it, like I'm like, yeah, that part of it should be very achievable.
okay. Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So games are always like a nice thing to get like more excited about. So I like those, and I like recommending those
Mm.
because and like it's usually pretty well understood. So if I'm like, hey, go make a brick breaker game, right? It's like
Right.
you kind of know what brick breaker is. The rules are pretty understandable. There might be a couple of gotchas here and there, but beyond that, it's like it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what brick breaker is, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, it's also good because if someone's looking at that code on your GitHub, they know what a Minesweeper game is. They can
Exactly.
go through the code quickly, and even without running the program, you can kind of figure out is this person's logic sound? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I wasn't intending this to be like interviewing about tips, but I guess it just went that way.
Yeah. Um, and like, I guess like kind of depending on what you're optimizing for.
Okay.
Um, if you're just like, if you want to just practice for interviews,
Hmm.
um, there's a book out there called like, I don't remember. I remember seeing it not too long. It's like technical interview questions or something like that.
Okay.
And it's like a 500-page book. The
Mhm.
first like 100 pages are like pretty much every single question you'll ever be asked in any like seriously technical interview, and it'll split it up from junior, intermediate, senior system design questions.
Okay.
And then like you can read the question, you can go through it,
Yeah.
implement it, and then you can go see how they implemented. They'll show you like, okay, here's the basic implementation. Here's how you can make it one step better.
Okay.
Here's how you can optimize the code. If they ask you about this is how you can think about it. So like, yeah. But yeah, like I find like there's almost two completely separate uh, like paths when it comes to coding interviews. Like one path is like I don't know, like the big company that doesn't care. Like it's like a business that has technology.
Oh, okay.
Um, like I don't know, like a bank or something.
Right.
The type of questions they'll ask are more I personally find completely pointless.
Okay.
Don't gauge you as like a software developer. So they'll essentially just drill you on questions about the programming language. So
Oh.
I'll like in the Java world, um, like the classic questions are like, what's the difference between like an interface and an abstract class? Or just like things that sometimes come up, but like are mostly just pretty irrelevant to your life.
Hmm.
Or like they'll ask those questions. So you can study those. It's like, I could probably like list the top 10 questions that'll come up every time, and then you'll be good to go on those interviews. And then the other side are like more technology companies. So if you're like applying to like any of the big tech companies, they'll go through the questions that would be in this book. So like,
Oh, okay.
how do you implement a sorting algorithm? What's the difference between quicksort and, you know, all the other ones? Like, what's the benefit? What are the like?
Hmm.
Yeah. So like that one gets much more deeper into the technical questions. I also find those pretty arbitrary because like how often am I in my life actually implementing a sorting algorithm? Never, but I
Okay.
guess it's good to know how to do it maybe. Well, like I guess it's good to know the trade-offs of what to choose, right? So
Okay.
I guess it's nice to know how to implement it in theory if you need to ever do that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to just have fun with it now because I mean, programming for the most part has been academic or job related for me. So
Yeah.
when it's for school or for a job, it's kind of like a chore. But if you do it on your own time for fun, then it's just a different vibe. So I think I'm
Yeah.
just gonna have fun with it, and then I'm focusing on a long term interest.
Mhm.
So yeah, like doing what you said, creating games, things like that. Um,
Yeah.
I'm putting in the work and the time, and hopefully it pays off later.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah. So it's not specifically for interviews, but
Yeah.
like what
Um,
I'm saying is I feel great talking about stuff that I've done. Like, but if I know about a programming language and they ask me how much do you know, I don't know. I'll like undersell myself. But if they ask
uh,
what have you done, I'll be like, this is what I've done, so I know how to do this.
yeah. So I don't know. That's a bit of a tough one. I would say just oversell yourself because after if you get the job, it's kind of now it's weird to say, but it's now their problem to make sure you're successful, right?
Mm, yeah. Well, I just because I've had experience where I was at a co-op job and the the man who hired me said, we need a website. So I said, yeah, I'll work on it. And then after 2 months, I barely had nothing, and he just talked to me and he said, you don't have anything. It's been 2 months. Uh, so I just switched my approach. I said, all right, well, what I'm good at is writing technical documentation. So
Yeah.
like whatever you have, I'll do that. And then by the end of the term, he was happy with it. So
So I see that like that to me is a fail on both sides.
really,
Absolutely. That
okay,
you both like I think you both fucked up there.
okay,
So you for not asking for help, right? Like that to me is like one of the classic junior developer mistakes is like, oh, I don't want to go bother this person. It's
well,
like,
no. So I'll give you a better idea. It was a small company,
yeah,
like 10 to 15 people. No one was working on the website. It was just
yeah,
me. There was a guy who knew some stuff, so I asked him a couple of questions. But mostly it was me and googling stuff.
yeah. So like, you know, I guess the question was like, if there was someone to ask, I would still go to them because like it's much better for you to waste that guy's time for 5 minutes and waste your time for 2 hours,
Right.
like looking for the right answer.
Mhm.
So like that's the fail from your side, and like the fail from his side is like one obviously didn't clear set any clear expectation, didn't have like any kind of deadline set up, didn't have like any structure there for you to
True.
succeed,
Very true.
right? Like he hired you. It's his job is to make sure you succeed at what he hired you for, right?
Right. Right.
So like he obviously didn't do that.
Yes. I
If
agree.
like the first touch point is 2 months in, be like, well, that's not what I wanted. It's like, well, that's
half
that
the so half the
sucks for
term's
you,
over.
man.
um, yeah. So I forgot where we were talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like a game's like a fun place to start. But like after that, like things to get more serious on would
Mm,
be like because like any like enterprise app that you're building is like your app is just integrating with some API,
yep.
right? So I would try to build an app that just integrates with any API.
Oh, I
So
get it.
you'll like, building out a game is very different than building out an app that's just, interacting with an API and just building out business logic. Like I understand that building out a game is like useful, but if I'm hiring you to come build an enterprise app for me,
Mm.
like it's not the most relevant experience. It shows me that you know how to use the programming language, but it doesn't show me that you know how to do the things that I want you to do.
Right,
And
right,
that's
right,
like being able to make network calls. Like, all right, how do you handle failures in those network calls? Like,
right.
what, like, let's the classic things like, user comes to the app, they gotta log in, make some calls, whatever. Okay. What do you do when their credentials expire? How do you prompt them for that? Like, what do you do when this request fails? Do you show the user something? Do you automatically retry? What do you do? How do you display it? And like that to me can be pretty basic because a lot of the elements exist by default,
Hmm.
and like, your standard like business app is like a login view and then some list views. And like that's about it.
Okay.
So like you're reusing those common components that are already there.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, if you're being hired by a big company, they don't want you playing games. They want you to make their app work and not fail,
Yeah.
and make sure people can use it to connect to
Yeah.
their servers and get the information they need.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's the game is not useless. It's a good learning tool.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's like, yeah, you're right. In this specific scenario, if I'm a bank or if I'm hired by a bank to work on
Yeah.
their banking app, then I'm not going to be working on games during work hours. That was my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I would just like pick something that you use and maybe doesn't have an app already, and you're like,
Mm.
all right, let me just try build an app for this, or like something that has a good API, and like, all right, it'll be pretty easy interacting with this.
Well, this is good because, like, just talking to you about it because you work with the, you're a developer, you develop stuff. I don't talk to anyone else that I can think of in the programming world regularly. So yeah, so this gives me the motivation to at least start. Hopefully, I finish it off for the October challenge. So yeah, so
Yeah, and like the other thing I would recommend, but not obviously not during COVID times, is going to meetups. So
okay,
those are just really good networking opportunities. So like meetups, I would personally go to a lot to hire people. It's like, so
oh,
for example, I would go to um, the Java Spring meetup
okay,
because obviously those are the people that are interested in or working with the tool that I'm working with.
right,
I'm like, all right, this seems like a great place to go hire people. And like almost at the end of every single time at that, it's like, hey, if you know anyone, we're hiring, by the way. And like a lot of the companies would actively be hiring in those places. I don't know what to do now, but that was
hmm.
would be a very good thing to do or very helpful and would
How
help. You can easily get to Toronto.
how do you find these meetups?
I think it's just like meetup.com.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, never heard of that, but well, that's good to know. Okay, um, so yeah, let's switch gears. What's going on in your life?
Uh, Not much. I'm like I'm honestly I feel like there's two groups of people during like coronavirus. I feel like I'm in the group that's just living my best life right now.
Okay.
Like I feel like I have so much time available. I'm getting like so much work done. At the beginning, it was definitely better because I was cooking a lot, I was working out a lot, but now it's
Uh,
cold.
yeah.
Like I don't want to do anything anymore, and it's not even that cold. It's like 17. I'm like, that's I don't want to go outside anymore already. So like it's already bad news, but nonetheless, it started off great and still pretty okay.
Wow. Um,
What about you? Best COVID life or worst COVID life?
hmm. I would say it's basically the same.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't like is that I'm not seeing my friends as often.
Yeah.
And for the first few months, I just avoided everything except the pharmacy, the grocery store, and medical appointments.
Mhm.
I'm living with my family now, so my parents. So I'm the shopper basically. Um, so the good thing is living my best life. I'm living my life and it's getting better. It's not specifically because of COVID, but
Yeah.
like I'm trying to my posture is all out of whack. So I run about 3 times a week, and I'm doing like an hour of some kind of workout or exercise every day, and I'm trying to get to a point where I can feel kind of balanced when I'm sitting and walking.
Mhm.
So week by week, it's getting better. So that's awesome. I notice my mood is getting better as well. Like, as you're less and less in pain, you feel better.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm doing that, and I'm reading, just watching movies, TV shows. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I am living my best life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So are you in Toronto? You're staying in Toronto?
I'm in between Toronto and Oakville.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you probably then you're saving time for the commute, or no?
Um, yeah, like I rarely run into traffic anymore. The only times I run into traffic is like on the weekends, because in Toronto they'll close off like lake shores and they make it a biking path only, like walking and biking path. Like it's really nice. So
Okay.
like I both get to make use of it and get screwed by it. So like
Oh,
it's fine. But if I'm ever driving like going into Toronto during peak traffic is like 15 minutes. But
oh,
like
okay.
all other times it's like a 20-minute drive. So I'm just like, yeah, boy.
Wait, so is your office still work from home, or are you going back to
Oh
the
no,
office now?
there's no the company I work for is located in Austin. So I don't
Oh,
even have an office here.
so you've
I was
been.
there for a couple months, and
Oh,
then like when COVID started, I came back.
oh wow. So you've been remote from the start, basically,
Yeah.
or were you living in Texas, or you were just there for an assignment?
So the company got accepted into Techstars, so that's a accelerator.
Okay.
So I was there for that.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
Damn.
actually really
Wow, that's awesome. No wonder you're living your best life.
good.
You just,
well,
you get to leave whenever you want.
well, my plans for the longest time was just like, all right, go stay in Austin whenever it gets cold, come
Oh,
back in
true.
summers, and then COVID ruined that. But
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still living my best COVID life.
Mm, okay. So then, are you still cooking and working out?
Less so,
Okay.
but I gotta try to get back into it. To be honest,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, I'm not really cooking much these days because the parents kind of take care of that, which is, I'm blessed.
Yeah,
So that's nice. And
you gotta make your cooking videos, fam.
that's true. Yeah. Well, so the first 5 videos, which are already on YouTube, uh, I didn't film all of them, but I think I was the one cooking most of them.
What
Could be
kind of
wrong.
stuff?
Actually, no, my mom was cooking one of them. The first one was just making coffee, and it's the funniest video because there's like I didn't speed it up.
Hmm.
I was filming really slowly. It's just so you see me making the coffee, and then I at the end of the video I take some biscuits and dip it and eat it. But
Hmm.
I just filmed it so slowly that it just looks like it's like if this is the biscuit, it's just me going like this into the cup. It's so stupid. But it makes me laugh every time I see it. It's unnecessarily long.
That's pretty funny.
The second one was masala chai, so chai tea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the other ones. I think one was almond milk. One was tofu, pan-fried tofu, and I forget the fifth one.
Okay. Do you have plans for what the next one's going to be?
Yeah, my mom's gonna be she's gonna be cooking pan-fried Brussels sprouts. Like not fully cooked, but I guess I don't know if it's more than a saute, but it's not like a boil.
Yeah.
So I ate a lot of Brussels sprouts, so I think it's a good thing to start with.
Okay.
What's okay. What's your go-to recipe?
I want to say red Thai curry.
Oh, what? You can make that?
Yeah. Uh,
Damn.
and yeah, I'd say that's my I don't make it completely from scratch.
Mm.
Because I feel like that would take too much time.
Right.
But I have this curry paste that I start with, and then I just add a bunch of stuff to that.
Do you add coconut milk?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
The curry paste I think has I don't know what's in it, but it has all the base flavors in it,
Yeah.
and then from there I'll add um I add a bunch of coconut milk. I'll add some peanut butter for creaminess and a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of saltiness.
Okay.
And then all your classic stir fry sauces. So I'll add some oyster sauce and fish sauce to it. And then just some lime to add a little bit of tartness to it and some of the skin. Sorry, someone the zest. No one's lemon skin.
Yeah, I think it is called zest.
Yeah.
Maybe that's. You had the green one or the yellow one?
Green. Yeah.
Green. Yeah, that's lime. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just cook that down for 30 minutes, 40 minutes until it gets nice and thick, and then just add whatever vegetables to it, and you're good to go. It
sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been on my coffee game lately. So
what do you use for it?
Well, right now I have just a filter coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought this Kicking Horse, Kick-Ass coffee.
Yeah.
The dark roast. So it was the beans, and I just grind it up, and then the powder it smells so good. So I just put in 2 spoons, some water, and then get the coffee out and put it into a cup. I add some ginger powder in there.
Interesting.
And I found whole milk powder at this grocery store near my place. So I put that in there. So it's basically coffee, ginger powder, and the whole milk powder, and mix it up. It doesn't mix fully well, so it does have some clumps, but
mostly from the ginger.
No, it's from the whole milk powder.
Oh, really? I would assume the ginger wouldn't dissolve. I would expect the milk to actually dissolve.
Yeah, well, the coffee water's not that hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as hot as kettle water. So I put in, for a cup of coffee, I will put in a lot of whole milk powder, maybe 2 or 2.5 spoons.
I see.
But the ginger powder is, it's barely
a
pinch, yeah. So,
so
I like that.
Taste with the ginger.
I don't really notice the taste.
Okay.
I just put it in there because it's supposed to be good for your joints. And I like ginger anyway, and yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how it tastes because I don't taste it.
Okay. What I like doing every now and then is actually putting cardamom pods in my coffee.
Game changer.
Yeah, it's so good. I had it once at this, I think it was the Syrian place in Toronto. They had cardamom latte. I was like, whoa, this is unreal. And then ever since, every now and then, I'll just put 2 cardamom pods.
Yeah. Green or black?
Green.
You should try the black one. It's so good.
What's the difference?
Um, well, the green ones, they're pretty small, right?
Yeah,
The black ones are bigger and they have a weird smell. Like it's not bad, but it's different. I just like the flavor it gives.
interesting. Okay, I'll
Um,
have to see if I can find those.
yeah, I don't know where we got those because we ran out here and I haven't found it since. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, but one day I have to make my masala chai for you. So what I do is, you know, just, I put in all the actual spices into a chai tea. So you put
Hmm.
in some cinnamon bark, cardamom pods, uh, what else? Cloves, black pepper.
When are you supposed to put that stuff in?
Um,
Like, do you put it like the tea and water and all that stuff at the beginning and like boil it all together? Or like do you like strain it through the spices and like mixture? Or like what's that process supposed to be like?
well, you can do it a couple of ways. It depends how much work you want to put in. So
Okay.
if you don't want to put in a lot of work,
Tell me the
then
most and least, like I want the top and bottom. What's the hardest way to do it and what's the easiest way to do it?
okay, the hardest way to do it is to find some type of cheesecloth or some tea bag material and stuff it with everything you want, including the tea
I see.
leaves or whatever, and
Like a little tea bag, I guess.
make a tea bag and put it in the water. The question is, do you want to put it into room temperature water or boiling water?
Right.
I don't know what's better. Usually, I just put it in before boiling and let the water boil.
Hmm.
Um, but I haven't done it with the tea bag recently. I've done it before, but yeah, not recently. So what I do is I throw in all the spices and the tea leaves and wait for the water to boil. And I don't like it that strong, so I let it boil for a minute or two.
Hmm.
Then I add some milk in there, and then I wait for the milk and the whole thing to boil. And once it starts boiling, I turn the heat to like a simmer and just let it boil for 2 minutes. And then I'll strain everything and then drink the tea.
Okay. Okay. That still sounds not too hard.
Yeah, the hardest part is just having all your spices
Yeah,
together because I always forget one thing.
I see. And I guess the ratios, like how do you
Um,
like especially if you're just doing it like 1 cup at a time, how do you get the ratios right?
okay. Well, how much coffee do you drink? In like, how much is a cup for you?
Coffee? Oh, I actually don't drink coffee most days.
Sorry, tea.
Oh, like I don't know, a standard mug.
So, yeah, this is
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
Would you drink full or like half?
Like 80%.
80%. Okay, so if it's 80%, how much milk do you want and how much water?
Like let's say a teaspoon or two of milk.
Oh, okay. So it's
Maybe
mostly
I don't know
just the
what
tea.
should I be adding more milk to it?
Well, it depends. I've always grown up drinking lattes, so it's mostly milk.
I see.
These days, I do like it's anywhere from half to a quarter of the whole volume is milk for me.
I see. I see. Like for me, like Persian people don't drink their tea with milk.
Oh,
Like I'd never tried tea with milk until I was like 12. It's just like the weirdest thing. Like there when you serve tea, like you don't even bring milk with you. It's like it's not even an option.
okay.
It's just like you get some tea. There's no you can have like a sugar cube, but that's it. There's no one drinks it with milk.
Okay.
So like even now I'll still like if I do put in milk, it'll usually be like a black tea. And then
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be like one of those like the equivalent of one of those like mini cups of milk or whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like you find at the 7-Eleven or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
So just a splash.
Yeah.
is what I would do.
So yeah, if you're having a cup, uh, I don't like saying chai tea because it's tea, but I'll say
Yeah,
chai tea anyway.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so what I would start with is like the black pepper. I use the balls, black pepper balls. So
yeah.
I use a lot because I read somewhere it goes well with milk. I don't know if that's true,
Okay,
but if you're not using a lot of milk, maybe put in two or three. Then if you buy cinnamon bark, I usually crush it and I'll put in two pieces, maybe the length of my like the top third of my finger,
okay,
my index finger. Then I'll put in. You can put in fresh ginger, but I don't know. I just use the ginger powder. Then I put in two or three cloves, and then one or two cardamom pods. I put in some nutmeg powder, and I think you can put in a really small pinch of turmeric if you want, but I don't usually do that.
okay.
So I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something. And the tea leaves, of course. It depends how bitter you want it.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't have most of that stuff. Well, mostly just the cinnamon bar. So I'll just have to wait for Corona to be over, and then you're gonna have to make it for me.
Yeah, man, I'm down. I would love to meet up again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I don't know, man. It's too much. Like I think the cases are increasing now in Ontario. So some
Yeah.
places like Toronto and Ottawa area, they're lowering the outside gathering limits, which doesn't affect me directly, but it's just an indication that things are going to close down again. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Like I imagine if the cases keep going up, they'll probably cut down on like level 3 stuff. So like indoor dining, indoor activities will probably stop again.
Yeah, and here in London, these Western students have started an outbreak in London, which is awesome. Not
Mm.
really. Um, at least that's what I read on the news. Since uh, I don't remember the start date, but in the past week or two, probably, I believe, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, 28 Western students have been tested positive for it. And
That's not a good indicator for the rest of the remaining students.
I know that's what I'm saying. So it's, I mean, it happens. So
Yeah,
I believe one of the sources was a house party.
of course.
I mean, like if we were back at Waterloo in first year or second year and
Yeah,
this happened, would we go to a house party? I mean, I don't know.
like maybe. So here's the
Yeah.
thing. Like it's understandable because realistically, like these kids are probably living at res, right?
Well, actually, in these cases, I read that most of them were off campus.
Right, but like potentially, like odds are not with their family is what I mean.
Right.
So it's like in that age group, they understand that their risk of like anything serious happening is pretty low.
I
So like
agree. Yeah.
really in that age group, your only concern is contaminating other people or like your family.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
like if you're often in school, the only other people you interact with are in your age group. So like from that point of view, I'm like, all right, I guess I understand if these people are sitting here doing like statistics,
Yeah.
but I also very much doubt that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think you're right. My concern is I don't want to get my parents sick because
yeah, exactly.
they're in their 50s and 60s. So I'm careful here. But if we were back at Waterloo and we were in res again or even off campus,
Yeah.
you know, as long as, yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I understand why people would have house parties
Yeah.
and do it because they're taking a risk with their own lives, um, and they're not intending to. I mean, hopefully, they're not intending to infect others. That would be
Yeah.
messed up. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's always a chance you could infect someone. So I don't know what the best way to play it is, but I think it's already happened. So in London, at least, we'll have to just deal with the restrictions and closings and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just don't go shopping near the student areas.
Bro, I just went to a Walmart yesterday, and then today morning, my sister told me there were 3 or 4 positive cases at that Walmart.
I am.
But the good thing is,
Go to the other side of town.
I think it's okay because I read one article and it said the risk to the public is low, and we were all masked up. Most people are wearing masks, and I don't think there was a situation where we were talking closely to someone
Yeah.
except the cashier, but there's a pane of glass or plastic.
Hmm.
So I'm not worried about it. It's just weird when you've gone to a place and they say there was a positive case there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not great.
How's it over there?
Um, I don't know. I don't spend too much time digging into like the regional data just because that's a little bit harder to find.
Hmm.
But for the most part, like I personally don't do any like level 3 activities anyways. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
I'm not gonna go eat inside a restaurant. Like
Okay.
I'll go get takeout, eat it at home or eat it in a park.
Okay.
Um, I guess actually that's not true. The only stationary activity that I do is getting haircuts. So I've done that twice so far.
Okay.
But other than that, like I don't really have any of the other things to do, and like I don't plan on going eating indoors. Even like when it gets cold, I'll just go eat at home. Like whatever.
Yeah.
No big deal there.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I don't think I do any stage 3 activities either. Yeah. I mean, I have friends who are in doing like one of my friends is works at a hospital,
Mm,
so I'm kind of hesitant to meet him. But at the same time, so I'm hesitant to meet him because he's always around people
yeah.
in a hospital. But at the same time, he's working in a hospital, so you'd expect him to take a lot more precautions there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like I don't know. Anytime like I meet up with people, it's still just like in a park.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, like I have.
Or like a backyard, like somewhere outdoors is ideal.
Where you can keep kind of a distance, right?
Yeah, not just like distance. There's like fresh air, so you don't have to like worry about as much stuff. So like the air is naturally moving around, and I feel like
Yeah.
less chance there. But like it is starting to become a little bit colder, so maybe that'll become more problematic over time. But
Plus, it's flu season, so I mean, that just means they're going to be testing a lot more because
yeah,
you don't know if you have the corona or the flu.
that's fair.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone who told me a friend of mine who can't take the flu shot because he's allergic to it.
Uh,
So, so he's just hoping that other people take it, or not the flu shot, but he's hoping he's not sure if he can take the corona vaccine if there is one, just in case they use the same base.
I see.
So in that situation, if there is a vaccine and he cannot take it, then it's up to other people to take the vaccine
Yeah,
or rely on herd immunity so that he won't get sick.
yeah, and like that's the I guess that's the also the other thing is like people hating on vaccines and just like the whole like
Mhm.
I don't know anti-science movement or whatever it is. Um,
Yeah.
that's also increasing in popularity. At least it seems just like based on like obviously it's just like based on social media posts that I see people will be like, "Yo, who are these idiots?" So I don't know how prevalent it actually is, but it seems like it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, in my actual everyday life, I don't think I've had a conversation with anyone who said vaccines don't work or you don't get a vaccine. You see that online.
Yeah.
From personal experience, anytime I've gotten a flu shot, I've been okay. Like one time I had a bit of a fever for a few hours, so I took an Advil and it was fine. However, I do understand, or not understand. I expect that in some cases it will be harmful to some people because, well, I can't prove that, but I'm just expecting it's not going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like it's just like an effectiveness rate.
yeah,
Uh, um,
I don't
but
think
and
I
like
haven't done the research, but my
and-
guess is I don't think any vaccine is 100% success rate.
yeah, and like what makes, from what I understand, that what makes the flu one extra complicated is like the flu is not a single virus.
Oh yeah.
Like what we call like the cold or the seasonal flu, from what I understand, is like probably a grouping of a couple hundred different things that have similar symptoms. So just like
Wow.
making a vaccine for that is apparently very complicated because you're not doing a single thing. I don't, for the flu one, I specifically don't remember, but I think that's the main reason why nobody bothers with like the common cold is the symptoms aren't serious enough and like it's not a single thing.
Right.
But like the other things have essentially been like eliminated from our common lives, right? Like polio or
Oh yeah, yeah.
whatever those.
Measles,
You
things
don't
like
see
that.
like people getting measles or like the plague anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is, if this movement of
Yeah,
anti-vaccination continues, it could bring back measles.
yeah,
I believe that's a very infectious, possibly airborne disease. So if the herd immunity is not maintained, then
yeah,
it's gonna mess everything up.
yeah.
Wow.
What do you think the solution to that is?
Well, you can't force people to take vaccines, or can you? I know they give vaccines to babies,
I don't
uh,
know.
but I don't know if that's mandatory or optional. Um, but at least the flu shot is optional. So the question is then if you want to ensure that previously removed diseases like measles don't become a widespread problem, then you have to ensure that enough people get the vaccine for that. But as far as making it mandatory, I don't know if that's, first of all, I don't know if it is mandatory, but if it isn't and you have to make it mandatory, um, I don't know what that means. Like, can you just force people to take a shot? You know?
I don't know about like I don't know if you can force them, but you could like potentially like incentivize them somehow. Well, like I'm sure you could force them, but like that would probably be a very unpopular law.
Mm.
Like people in North America don't like those types of things where it's like, oh, you have to do this. It's like, but my freedoms though.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, I think for kids, I don't know if they do it in North America or other places, but I believe there's certain, like if you don't have your vaccines up to date, they won't let you into school.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I actually found I have like a vaccination card or something from
Vaccine report card.
vaccine report card. Um, yeah, I remember vaguely that, like in public school, you have to get some vaccines, right? I don't know which vaccines they gave.
I
Maybe I
just
think they
remember it
gave.
was like vaccine day.
Yeah,
You just got in line they just like shot you with it, like you're good to go. I don't remember the report card specifically, but I remember like just lining up a couple times and being given a
uh,
vaccine.
well, no, the report card might have is not a Canadian thing. It
Mm,
might have been something I had to get for entry or something.
I see.
I was born in India, so I have some documentation.
Right, right, right.
It could be related to my entry to the country.
Yeah,
But yeah, there were vaccine days, in schools in Canada, like when I was like from grade 4 to 6 or something, and I believe it was hepatitis B at that time. Um, Obviously, so that means they give it to kids. So
See, but I'm sure like there's like anti-vax parents just trying to fight that. If they
right,
still do it like that, I don't know. I don't know if like schools still do that.
yeah, that's a
I,
good question.
um, but yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
but
I don't know what the solution is. Um, I don't know. It's interesting to talk about.
and like I feel like making it mandatory is just gonna like piss off those anti-vaxxers even more, but like also fuel their like flames a little bit. It's like, oh, it's like the I think one of those like, oh, if like they're microchipping you or whatever, it's like, oh, if they didn't want to do that, then why would they make it mandatory? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, why would the government care so much? It's like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to keep you alive.
Trying to keep everyone alive. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if someone wants to opt out of a vaccine, I feel like that's should be allowed.
Should it though? Like I understand for health reasons. Like
Yeah,
it's weird because you're potentially bringing other people to harm.
that's the thing. Yeah,
So it's like it's a weird situation. Um, like a lot of these anti-maskers bring up the same thing. It's like your health isn't my problem. It's like, kind of.
we're breathing the same air.
Like, yeah, it's like sure you should be responsible for my health, but like like putting on a mask is not a uh, like it's not a chore. It's not a difficult thing. Like you're no worse off for it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's annoying, but you kind of get used to it after a couple days.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, you can't breathe as well, but unless you have a breathing condition, well, I mean, I should say like I can manage well, fine. It's
yeah,
just annoying when you wear glasses and you can't see because it fogs up.
yeah. Yeah, like yeah, that happens to me a lot. And like I also find that my glasses fall down a lot when I'm wearing a mask. I don't know. I guess like
Oh,
interfere like with my ears. And like if I'm wearing a mask, I can't look down because my glasses will just fall.
yeah, yeah. If you get the things with the nose thing, it doesn't
right,
slide.
right.
But just to go back to the vaccine thing, I feel like if you have a if something is contagious,
Mhm.
there's more reasons to justify making it mandatory. Like if it's super contagious,
Yeah.
but if it's not a very contagious disease and you opt out of it,
Mhm.
then you're just worse off for yourself, which I guess is okay.
But like, see, but it's problematic because like not only are you worse off for yourself, if you can now catch it and give it to other people.
No, but
Like,
that's what I mean. If it's not very contagious,
oh,
you could possibly manage that risk if you have a
yeah,
system in place, or if you're a responsible person. If you start
yeah.
getting sick, you don't go out
I feel
coughing
like
into other people's
responsible
mouths.
people aren't anti-vaxxers.
Well, I honestly I don't understand the core of the reasoning, other than you can't make me.
Well, like
I'm
it's a
sure
lot.
there's more to it, but yeah,
Yeah, there's like a lot of misunderstanding of like science as a whole. I would say
right.
in that community, or maybe not just mistrust, like sorry, not just a misunderstanding, but probably like a strong mistrust.
Hmm.
Like, oh, big pharma just wants to like get your money. She's like, sure, companies want to make money, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of science behind vaccines. And then like the other one is like, oh, there's chemicals in it
yeah.
that, and like just not understanding how compounds work.
Hmm.
Like, oh, so there used to be uh like a mercury compound in vaccines.
Okay.
And like that's one of the things they latch onto. Like I don't think any vaccine in the past 20 years has had mercury in it anymore.
Okay.
but it was essentially an inert compound of mercury anyways.
Mm.
So like, similar to sodium chloride, chloride on its own is poisonous, but
Oh, I
salt
see what you're
is
saying.
fine, right? So like, sure, the element can be bad, but it can be fine in other forms. And there's just like a lot of that type of mentality is like this chemical's in it, this chemical's in it. It's like,
Right, right.
okay, sure, but that's not how things work.
Yeah, I think the problem lies when it comes to misinformation is that you need a certain level of trust for people who are involved in manufacturing, distributing, and administering the vaccine.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't have a thorough understanding of vaccines because I haven't studied it.
Yeah.
So when I go get a vaccine, I'm trusting that it's safe. Um, and if I'm wrong,
Or at the very least safer than not getting it.
uh, no, no, I'm saying like when I'm getting a flu shot,
Yeah.
I've gone years where I haven't gotten a flu shot, but when I do get one, you know, when I get one, I'm just hoping it's fine and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So from that sense, I'm taking a risk. Um, but there's no way for everyone to be educated about,
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So in that way, based on just how you live your life, you might, you know, like it's just not worth the risk for you for some people. You know what I mean? Like there's a gap of understanding and information. So when that exists, you have to rely on some form of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you have to, like, especially in these health reason like situation, you have to believe that someone is working in your best interest.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
whether it's your doctor or the people manufacturing it or the government or whatever. You have to believe someone somewhere there
Yeah. Yeah.
is acting in your best interest.
Yeah. You don't even have to believe it, but you have to be ready to take a risk. You
Yeah.
have to say, I'm going to get the flu shot. Um, it might just screw everything up. I might have an allergic reaction.
Mhm.
Um, but in those cases where it becomes fatal or it's like a life changing result, I mean, I understand why someone would be upset about that. But I don't know, man. I don't know enough about the science of how to minimize that and avoid catastrophic results. But yeah, I mean, this hasn't come up in my day to day life, so who knows?
Not yet.
Not yet. Are you gonna bring it up next time? It's like, Amir, I made some tea for you. Oh yeah, did you make me a vaccine too?
Uh, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, well, it's 9, but I can keep going a bit if you want, or you want to call it.
Yeah, I guess let's call it.
Okay.
I'm gonna play some games and then go to sleep.
Okay. Well, you want to plug anything?
Um, I don't really have anything to plug.
Oh,
I
no.
guess I can plug my company. Should I plug that? I don't know.
Uh, I don't know. I guess just don't, and then if you want to do it again, you can think about it.
Yeah, I don't have anything to plug.
Oh, okay. You don't have like a Twitch or something? Okay.
No, no, I'm fine.
Anyway, thanks for chatting.
No
Um,
worries.
yeah, it was fun, and I'd love to hang out again at some point. Okay, and now I have stopped recording.